Hey guys, my name's Mary Lily.
I'm Marshall.
And I'm Caitlin.
And we're the hosts of Unveiled Opinions.
Three newlywed girlies with a podcast on any and everything wedding related.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
How's it going?
It's good. It's really hot. And I just noticed my computer says heat advisory for Charlotte.
At least I thought you were about to say heat advisory for your
For the computer.
Yeah, I was like, all right, well.
This is going to be short-lived. No, at first I thought the same thing. And then I clicked on it and it was like for the area. I was like, oh, yeah, I could see that. I could 100% see that.
Hot. Like even just like, not even like the asphalt, just like the regular like sidewalk is like scorching hot.
Yeah, and it's humid. And I felt so bad for the guy that was like finishing our floors today. Because he had to rent a condo, so he had to go like outside and up and down to like, I guess like cut the wood or whatever for the baseboards. And this man, I thought at one point he was having a heart attack. I was like, oh my God, like, is he okay? Like, do I need it? I was like, do you need any water? He's like, no, I'm good.
He's like, no, this is normal.
And then I saw him in his truck, like when he was going to leave, and he like automatically took his shirt off and lit up a cigarette. And I was like, I do not blame you one bit.
That's hilarious. He's like, damn, this day.
I know. And I'm sure that we were like his first job. I'm sure he has like other things to do today. And I was like, you poor man.
That's brutal.
I know. And that was like, he got here at like 10 a.m. So it wasn't even like the hottest part of the day, I don't think. But yeah.
That was Kyle called me at like 10 a.m. and he was like, it is so hot out. It's only 10 a.m. And I was like, yeah, like I'm probably not going to go outside today.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I don't really plan on leaving this condo all day.
Yeah.
Except to take the dog out, which is enough.
Yeah.
Literally.
Thankfully, there's enough to do.
Yeah. No worries. I have a laundry list a mile long of everything to do in this house anyways. I shouldn't leave for the next like foreseeable future until it's all done.
Yeah, I know. It's never ending.
I know. I feel like you get like one thing done and then you also just have to like clean up just like from day to day life too.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you'll get everything clean, like the maids will come, everything will be great. And then it's like you cook dinner and the kitchen's like a disaster. Yeah.
I know. That's a good reminder because our cleaner comes tomorrow and I like hate cooking the night she comes because I'm like, let me just have 5 minutes.
It feels like a waste when you like just go in the kitchen. I know ours comes on Thursday and I'm just like, oh,
I probably need to like,
I need to pre-clean.
Yeah, figure out takeout or something.
I know. I need to like text Gil, see where he is and be like, can we just go to Sabor?
Yeah.
I feel like that's been our go-to lately. It's just
that sounds good.
I know. It's so easy. It's near our house. And we didn't even have a kitchen all weekend.
Yeah, this past weekend?
So they started on the floors in our laundry room on Friday.
Oh.
So they had to move all the stuff in our laundry room, so like our washer and dryer, out. And there's not like a lot of places to put it because the hot water heater was in the guest bedroom. And
obviously,
where else would it go? And they put the washer and dryer in the kitchen. They just like lined them up. So Gil, like when I was skinnier, when they did this, like to remove the floors like months ago, I was skinnier and I could push the washer out and like squeeze in, but I don't have that luxury right now. So Gil had to like push it and like just to get into like our refrigerator and stuff. But like the stove was blocked, like everything was blocked. We didn't have hot water all weekend, which we knew, but like we knew it would be turned off. But the fact that it was like done on Friday and they had to finish it on Monday, so then it was like a weekend, was not ideal.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's fixed now, thank God. But
it's done.
So, but there's dust everywhere from like the flooring and stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've just been trying to get that done, like up or whatever. And I'm just like, oh my God.
It's never ending.
Yeah, I don't know if I mean, this was not like a remodel that like we planned, but I don't know if I would ever want like a fixer-upper totally, unless I just like, I don't know, was a gazillionaire and like could maybe stay somewhere else during it.
Yeah, it's just so much work. And
It
like all of the
is.
projects, I don't know, like you said, like even just like day to day. Like I got back
Yes.
Friday night
Mm-hmm.
and Kyle was in like he was in Charlotte. Had been traveling for family
Mm-hmm.
and I felt bad because like he did try to keep the house tidy and he did like a pretty
Yeah.
good job, but it was like Saturday midday and it was like I feel like this house just cannot get clean.
Yes. It's like you have a crash out. I already had one of those today.
Yeah. And he was like, I tried really hard. And I was like,
It's like, thank
okay, it's
you.
not personal.
It's
Like,
not personal. It's just like, look at it.
yeah, it's just like, oh my God, like the suitcases, like all of the
Oh, I
stuff.
know. Just stuff like where it doesn't need to be. And I'm like, does it have
Yeah.
a home? At this point, I don't even know. I threw away so much stuff yesterday. Like stuff that I
Yeah.
feel like I'm gonna regret later.
Oof.
But I'm like, you know what? I'll just buy it over it if I
Yeah.
really want it because I'm
If I
like,
really want it. When like we have people coming in town this weekend and I've been using the guest room as like a drop zone.
yeah,
And now I'm like,
yeah.
where am I supposed to put this stuff?
That's
Like, where
exactly
is
our
this supposed to
yeah.
go?
Our guest room's just like, I'll figure it out later. But
Yeah.
later is like starting to be now. And I'm like,
Yeah.
crap.
Because ready or not, that baby is coming.
I know. And people think they're staying here.
Well, good news is the water heater. That's the water heater's room
Yeah,
right
I'm
now.
like, we'll see about that. Like, let's just Charlotte has lots of hotels, so we'll see.
Airbnb, so
I
many
know.
possibilities.
It's just like I kind of want to just like give up and be like, no, I'm not doing anything else. Like, but then I know that no one else will do it, you
Yeah.
know? So
It's a lose-lose.
it's a lose-lose, but we'll figure it out, I guess.
Yeah, it'll get done.
Yeah, I'll
Ready or
have
not.
my 200 milligrams of caffeine that I'm allowed today and try and power through in the hour of energy I have.
I know. I just hit my third trimester and I told Kyle, I was like, I feel like I just have to keep going.
Yeah,
Like I'm tired, but like there's just so much to do.
yeah,
It just can't stop.
right. Because I feel like if you do stop and take a break, then you never want to
Resume.
keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did do that. I did take a break for a bit and then I feel like it just piled up more. And then I
Yeah.
got anxiety from that. So
Yeah.
I was like, that was not smart on my part.
Yeah.
Don't
Ugh.
recommend. Do not recommend.
Do not recommend. Yeah. So I'm trying to just like keep pushing.
Hmm.
And then at the end
Yeah.
of the day, this is like I don't know if I'll need it today because I really haven't been outside. But I got these
Yeah.
socks that Madison LaCroix posted on her social media.
Oh,
And they
really?
have like ice packs in them.
Oh my God. Are they part of her like Amazon storefront or whatever? Like she does those lives sometimes. My
I'm
mom
not
watches them.
sure.
I don't know. I feel like I've like wanted to buy a bunch of stuff that she's posted because she like finds all like
Yeah.
really like obscure things that like help you. But
Yeah. She posted,
that
I
sounds
saw it on
amazing.
Instagram and I was
Hmm.
like, okay, this is gonna be my reward moving forward. Just like keep
Yes.
keep walking, keep on keeping on. And then at the end of the day, have my little ice socks and put my
No,
feet up.
that sounds so good. I remember last night I kept telling Gil, I was like, my feet are just so hot. And I don't know
Yeah.
why they just were. I just felt like they like were on fire and the rest of my body was fine.
All right, I'm gonna send you the link.
Yes,
I
please. I
almost
need
sent you the
them.
link yesterday and I was like, she's gonna be like, what the hell?
No,
And then
I
I
probably would have
definitely
like panic ordered them last
I
night and got
definitely thought you were due next week. And so I was like, I don't know if it really makes sense
if it
at
really
this
matters at this point. Yeah. Nope, 2 more weeks.
2 more weeks. Today, we're chatting about this topic of being ready or not. Deciding when and if you're ready for kids. We're obviously, whether we want to be or not,
We're in it. So.
making it happen. But it wasn't always that way of like, knowing exactly
Mhm.
if
Very
we
true.
want kids and getting to that process of like figuring it out and figuring out with another human that you marry who has like their own
Their own thoughts.
things and opinions.
Yes.
So yeah, so we're tackling that topic.
Sounds good.
Did you always think you wanted kids? I'm
No.
excited to talk to you about this.
No. I was like team no kids up until last
Like
year.
you got pregnant.
Literally, like I yeah, I just never thought that's what I wanted. Like I always wanted to get married and
Yeah.
like, like have a life with someone, but I just never thought that kids were something I wanted. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, give me all the dogs, like all
Yeah.
of those. But then I don't, and I couldn't even tell you like what, I didn't like see a baby or something and like got like baby fever. It was just literally like one day I was like, I think I want to have a child. And I will say it was after my dad died. So it was
Yeah.
like, I mean, it wasn't like right after. It wasn't like a trauma response.
Sure. It was a thoughtful
We gave it
decision.
some time, but I was like, I kind of like want a family, like I have a
Yeah.
small family. I have a brother, but like we don't have like any cousins.
Yeah.
And, I was just like, I was like, it was actually kind of depressing when I thought about it. I was like, well, like when my mom dies, like I really, like I have my brother.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, his family, like his married family, and I'm like close to them, but like as like my own like core family, like I would have
Sure.
Gil and my brother. And I don't know, I was just like, I feel like I like want like a family of
More.
my
Yeah.
own. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it was just kind of like one day I was like, I think I want this. And then I like sat on it for a bit because I was like,
Before you said anything to Gil.
I sat on it for a while before I said anything to Gil because I didn't want it to be like, because like one time I was like, I want a cat. And he was like, I feel like you don't want a cat. Like you just saw a cute picture of a cat. And
Yeah.
that was like 100% what it was. Like I didn't really want a
Yeah.
cat,
You wanted it to like make sure that
Like
it,
I wanted like I was like, I want a ragdoll cat. Like I've like researched them. And he was like, you
yeah.
don't want a cat. Like
He's like, this
he's
isn't
like,
you.
let's give it a while. And if you
Yeah.
still want a cat, we're not getting a cat, but like
But like we can
let
talk
me
about
know.
it another time.
Yeah. So I sat on it for a while and it like didn't go away. So then like we were walking to dinner one night and I was like, can I talk to you about something? And he was like, oh God. Like I'm sure he thought like he probably did something.
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah. And so I was like, I think I want a kid. And he just like stopped walking and like looked at me and he was like, okay, is this the same as the cat? And I
oh my
was like,
God.
no, it's not the same as as the cat. Like
Same
I've
but
like thought
different.
about it for a
Yeah.
while. And he was like, okay. And that was that. And then we just went from there.
Were y'all always on like the same page of not necessarily wanting a family
Yeah.
before
So,
that?
so Gil was always very much like, I could have a kid, I could not have a kid. Like,
Yeah,
he was pretty like indifferent to the whole thing.
sure.
He was like, if it's just us the rest of our lives, like, I'm happy with that. Like, if you decide you want more, like, I can do that too. So
Yeah.
that was nice that he wasn't like super gun ho one way or the
Of
other.
like I've got this
Yeah.
timeline and like
Yeah.
if we don't have a
Yeah.
family, like we're done.
And we talked about it really early on in dating because I
Yeah.
had run into this like being an issue in other relationships before. And
Yeah.
I just think it's fair to like tell someone kind of like upfront, like pretty, not first date, but like,
Yeah.
a little
Third at
earlier on
least.
before it's like before you're too far gone. Yeah. So we did talk about it early on. I was like, I don't want kids. And he was like, that's fine.
He's like,
And
okay, cool.
okay. And then, yeah. And it was never like, he like never asked like later. Like he was never like, oh, I really want a family, like anything like that. Like, so I never felt like pressured or anything
That's
from
good.
him.
That's important because I don't feel like that's often the case. I feel like
Yeah.
it is somebody being like, okay, like, yeah, that's fine. And then it's like not fine.
And then it's not fine because someone like maybe wasn't totally honest. Yeah.
Yeah. They were like holding out hope of like, oh, they'll change their mind.
Yeah. And I just don't think you should ever think that someone's going to change their mind over something that big of
Yeah.
a decision. But yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's, I mean, honestly impressive that y'all have been on the same page through it all.
It's been very nice. I feel like if we hadn't have been, I really don't think we would have gotten married though. Like I just
Yeah.
don't think, because that's like a big deal. And I
Yeah.
know he told his parents, I don't even know if we might have been engaged. I think he told his parents that like we weren't going to have kids just to
Yeah.
like kind of like Because they always
Yeah, because then
ask, like,
it's the next question. You're married for 2 seconds. They're like, when's the
when's
baby?
the baby? Yeah. So he did like let them know, and obviously like my family knows how I am. So he let them know, and I think they were disappointed.
Yeah, I remember you
Um
saying that.
yeah, but he was like, I mean,
It
it's
is
not
what it
something that
is.
we like really want. So
Yeah.
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 So yeah.
And that's like interesting because like before I met Kyle, and I never like grew up babysitting or anything. So I
Yeah,
never
me
was
neither.
like had this like motherly, like,
Hmm.
oh my gosh, I want a baby now.
Like the baby fever thing, I never understood it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so before I met Kyle, that was like when I was like, okay, like, yeah, I like want to get married, but I also like am done like dating like these losers. And I'm not gonna just like marry anyone.
Hmm.
And so I was like, if I don't get married, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because like life's pretty good. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then when I met, and like I feel like kind of similar with kids, like too, like if I never got
Hmm.
married, I wouldn't be out there like trying to like,
Yeah.
figure it out
Yeah.
as a single mom.
No.
Um, and then with Kai, like, so I do feel like I kind of was like maybe a little like Gail of like, I probably could be swayed one way or another.
Yeah.
And Kyle has always been like a big family man of like wanting to have kids and like
Hmm.
meeting him, seeing him interact and like seeing his excitement definitely was like, this is going to be fun. Like,
Right.
I will be excited to like have a family with you.
Yes.
And I think to your point too of like, it's just me and my brother, but both sides of my family, from a cousins and like aunts and uncles, there's a lot of them. Both my
Hmm.
parents are like, my dad's one of five and my mom's one of four.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And we're Irish Catholic. Like there's a lot of people running around.
Yeah.
And so I've always been used to bigger families.
Hmm.
I don't want a lot of kids.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I think it's like, and I'm close with my parents, so I'm like, I don't know, like,
Hmm.
I think
Yeah.
that's one of the big things that I've heard from so many people our age too, is they aren't sure that they want kids,
Uh-huh.
but they don't want to be alone.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people say that, and also that they like never really like did the babysitting or really like
Yeah,
liked, not like they disliked children, but like, they just weren't like
around
super
them.
pumped to hang out with them.
Yeah,
Yeah. And but they're like, but I do want like a family of my own, so I'm not by myself.
yeah.
So like I get that.
I
Not that having a family guarantees. I know people are gonna say
Yeah,
like
people like you're gonna still raise somebody who's a human being and
right. And
do
they're gonna
their
go
own
off and have their
thing.
own life. I get that. Like I don't
Yeah, but it's
expect
still like different.
it is. Like you do have like, you have like someone out there that's part of you. And it's
Yeah,
like, it's kind of cool.
yeah. And I think, yeah, that's one thing that I have heard more and more of from
I feel like
people.
that's definitely like our generation
Oh, for
has
sure,
said
our
that a
generation.
lot.
Is
Yeah.
that like selfish?
Uh, I
I
mean,
don't know.
probably, but
Yeah, people are like, I don't really want the baby phase if I could just get them like a little
I know. I'm like,
older.
I feel like I always thought toddlers were cute. Like once they get their own personality and stuff,
Yeah,
I
but
think they're
then they're
like
just,
so cute. And then, but like, I keep seeing all these videos of newborns. And I'm like, well, they kind of don't do anything, but you can just hold them and stuff. It's like
yeah,
kind
you
of
just
having like,
cuddle.
it's kind of like when you have a puppy at the beginning when they're like really sleepy, like that
Yeah,
sleepy phase before they start teething on everything. I feel like it might be like that.
I like that.
That's what I'm telling myself.
Yeah. But I do feel like it's like, at least when you get them young and you remember them when they're like so
Hmm.
small and cuddly, and then when they're
Yes.
like a little terror,
Oh
you have those
gosh.
happy memories to go back to.
Exactly. You can be like, well, and like you have all the pictures, and you're like, well, they were like this at one
Yeah,
point.
how you used to be.
Ugh.
Were there any, so obviously you mentioned like your dad and like
Hmm.
that kind of impacting of like maybe I do want a family.
Right.
Were there any like signs or feelings that made you feel like you were more ready?
No, like it literally just happened. I feel like I was driving and I just all of a sudden had like this like click or something. And I was like, wow, that's incredibly strange.
You're like, where
But
is this coming
where is
from?
this coming from? But then it's also like, I guess Gil and I are, we're very stable. Like,
Yeah.
I guess, like in our relationship. And I mean, kind of at the time, I I don't know if you would call this stable. I quit my job, and went to school. So there was
Yeah.
that, but like, it wasn't like a huge deal. I feel like it was very
Yeah.
discussed and everything. So
It
like,
was planned.
it was planned. So, like when we started talking about like, well, getting your IUD out and like then like planning for when and stuff like that, we did plan a little later, like to hopefully like,
Yeah.
get pregnant later. It was earlier, but which isn't, I mean, but at the same time, I feel like we have so much stability that didn't worry either one of us. So I feel like
Yeah.
that probably did help in like the whole decision making of like when to
Yeah.
do this whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the initial thought of like, oh, I think I want a kid, like nothing really triggered that. Like I really have
Yeah.
no idea where it came from. Like I was driving and just all of a sudden was like, it was like
Let's
kind
have
of
a baby.
overwhelming. Like it was like an
Yeah.
overwhelming like feeling.
Well, it's just so different
It's
too from
so different.
everything that like
Yeah.
you've thought your entire life.
Entire life. Yeah. So I was like, and it wouldn't go away. The thought, like at first I was like, maybe like,
Maybe I just saw like a cute TikTok.
yeah, I was like, maybe I'm like in a mood or something. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Maybe I'm PMSing.
Yeah.
Like something's
No, so
happening.
I did think that at first. I was like, maybe like I'm about to get my period. So that was like, that's another reason I like sat on it for
Yeah.
a while, because I was like, this is incredibly odd
This
for
is
me
out
to
of
be
character.
thinking. Very out of character. I was like, is something going to happen? Like, so it was just strange. Like it was just all of
Yeah.
a sudden, but didn't go away. So
Did not go away.
I was like, must be real.
Gotta bring it to
I
the
hope so,
bring
because it's
it-
happening.
Yeah, it's
So,
happening. Yeah.
it's happening very soon.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because like Kyle and I, even before we got married, we were like, we'll wait a year and be
Mhm.
married for a year before we like want to have a family. And I had like started my own business
Mhm.
at that time. I did not feel ready
Yeah.
when it was like, oh, this is happening
Mhm.
at all. And then it was a couple months before our 1 year anniversary, and he was like, I'm ready to be a dad. And I was like,
You
holy
are.
shit, it's happening. And I was like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
Pause.
And he was like, I was like, oh my God. So I like had like a little bit of panic for a while.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then like a month later, he was like, actually, I'm not ready. And I was like, you can't say that.
No, you can't go back.
Yeah, I was like, you can't go. I was like, you already have my ovulation
Right.
schedule.
Exactly. Like we've already moved forward.
Yeah. And it was just like a momentary like
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, we waited until our 1 year anniversary
Yeah.
before like all precautions were lifted.
Yes.
But yeah, I did not feel ready at all at that time. I was like, here's, if you want me to get pregnant, here's when.
Yeah.
And good luck.
Yeah. Good luck on it. I know. It's just such a big decision too. Like,
Yeah.
it's like you're ready, but then it's like, am I really ready? And then it's
Yeah.
like, are you ever really ready? I don't
That's
know.
the kind of, I feel like no.
I know everything I've heard from everyone else is there's never like a perfect time. Like you never feel like 100%, like everything's gonna go, because you
Yeah.
just don't like every baby's different, you don't know how like it's gonna go, like how everything's gonna be. So I guess, yeah, you're never truly 100%.
Yeah.
Even like, I mean, like when I like found out I was pregnant, I was like, you're joking. Like you're kidding. There's
Hence
no way.
the like 20
The
pregnancy
20
tests.
pregnancy tests, and like I still didn't believe it until like I actually went to the doctor. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I totally get the whole like,
Yeah.
maybe I'm not ready.
Yeah. I was like, bro.
You're like, no, like
I was
feel
like, I just went through mental gymnastics to get myself ready for this.
Yes.
And I'm still not ready.
Mhm.
No
But
take
you
backs.
have to be. One of us has to be ready.
Yeah. But I think, the financial, like career stability
Yeah.
factor, like I feel like that is a big part for so many people.
Mhm.
And I think too, for me, like in the back of my mind, and it still is kind of like in my business, it is still newer.
Mhm.
And it's like, I mean, I recently hired somebody to help with like
Right.
my transition and being able to like take time off. And I still don't fully know what it's gonna look like.
Yeah.
Like,
I know,
it's
because we've
like,
never done this before.
yeah.
And
And it's
even if,
like, I
yeah,
get to make my own schedule. That's great. But so it's just, there's no perfect time.
no. And I feel like you can like watch like your friends and family and everything like have their own babies and like, their first and stuff. And it's like your experience isn't going to be the exact same. So
Yeah.
it's hard to like plan, I guess.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. I mean, I actually, some babies may like a bouncer, some may like a
Nice
swing.
swing, you never know.
Your note made me literally laugh out loud. So obviously, again, your decision process was like a little more,
Range.
um, not like quick, but like
Yeah.
once the two of you, it sounds like talked about it, it was like, okay, like sounds
Yeah.
good. But were there any things that, well, even still with like pregnancy, like you've said, like, I want to still be like very active and like do things.
Right.
Has there been anything that you've like wanted to experience before starting a family or like even before the baby comes?
Um, like Gil and I kind of talked about that, and we were like, we've kind of done everything that,
Yeah.
we want. Like, I know some people are like, I want to travel more, and like, obviously, we still want to travel, like, even with a kid and stuff. But
Yeah.
we kind of like did everything together that we had like wanted to do,
Sure.
like was on our list. So it wasn't like we feel like we're missing out on anything by like, you know, getting pregnant after like what 2 years of marriage or whatever. So, I mean, we didn't, I think us not having a timeline didn't put any pressure on us for
Yeah.
like being like, oh, I wish I had done that or I still want to do
Hmm.
this. So like, yeah, like Gil said to someone else the other day, he's like, we've kind of like done everything we like wanted to do, like,
Yeah.
so like this is just our next like
Step.
little adventure. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything or like there's things that like I have like on a list that like oh I really want to get like
Yeah.
this done before
To
whatever.
feel ready or
Yeah,
like to feel like, oh, I've accomplished this.
right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
not really, but also I feel like I'm kind of just like I do feel like I researched a lot, but then at this point I'm just like winging everything because I'm like
Yeah.
there's never room in my brain to like read anything else. Like
I'm at
I've
capacity.
yeah, maxed out. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just how I feel.
Yeah, that I don't, there was like not necessarily anything we wanted to experience.
Yeah.
We went to Italy last fall
Mm-hmm.
and I like didn't want to be pregnant for that.
Yeah. Fair.
And I was far from it.
Yeah.
Um, and but like it is funny. We've been like dating for 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
like this week. And so
Oh,
we
nice.
like went out to dinner
Mm-hmm.
the other night and we were just like talking about like, holy crap, 5 years. Like that feels like forever.
It really does though.
Yeah. And he was like, we've done like a lot in 5 years. And I was like, yeah, we really have. Like, I feel like it's just like, he was like, I probably don't give you enough credit for how much you just kind of like went along with like crazy plans. And I was like, yeah, say that louder.
Yeah, remember that.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done. And I don't know, I'm not the person who's like, okay, like, I've never went backpacking, but like, so I'm not gonna like take up any weird hobbies like that.
Right. Not gonna
But like,
change my personality in that way.
yeah, but I'm still gonna like travel and
Yeah.
do stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I know. I get that. Like, I feel like there's still things like we want to do. Like, I'm not like not saying that, we did everything and now it's just like we're gonna have a kid and like stay at home and
Yeah.
not go anywhere or anything like that and go to parks every weekend, which no hate if that's what you like. Not
Yeah.
really thinking that's gonna be what we do.
Yeah.
But yeah, besides I remember we were like planning to go to Iceland, but kind of once I quit
Yeah, I
my
remember
job,
that.
once I like quit my job and decided school first, we're like, we'll go on a big trip later. Like, and
Yeah.
then when we started talking about like having a kid, he was like, well, that could be like a big trip that we do and she can stay with her grandma. Like,
Yeah, like
and
she
I'm
can stay
like,
home.
literally. And I was like, yeah. So it's like we still have plans to do stuff. We're not
Yeah,
just like,
quitting.
throwing in the towel and
Yeah.
giving up on life or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing like I don't feel like I missed out on anything by getting pregnant at this time
Yeah.
of our
I'm with
lives.
you. Did y'all talk about like how you'd handle different parenting styles or like family boundaries and childcare and that stuff before you got pregnant? Or is that like, was that like, okay, we made the decision to get pregnant, we'll figure it out as we go?
No, we like talked about all that before
Yeah.
because I feel like we wanted to be as prepared for things that we could control,
Control.
you know? So like there's
Yeah.
so many things you can't control, but like you can like talk about, how you want to parent before, like boundaries with grandparents,
Yeah.
like, just and like usually I would say like we're 90% on the same page. Or like when
Yeah.
we first discussed everything, we were 90% on the same page. And then the things that we weren't, like we were able to talk through and like compromise or like be like,
Hmm.
okay, I actually get your point, like I get your side type thing. But we did that before any birth control was gone because I
Yeah.
was like, we're not getting pregnant and then like not on the same page about like really huge things
Yeah.
because
Yeah. And
that's a
yeah, it's
little
like
insane.
you had already been okay not having a family.
Exactly.
So it's like, okay,
Hmm.
if we're not going to agree, then like we'll just stick with this plan.
Exactly. Because we had said before too, like one of the things, if we couldn't get pregnant like on our own, like we weren't going to do like
Yeah.
IVF or anything like that because we were happy like as is. You know what I'm
Well, and
saying? Like we were
yeah,
already totally okay with just
how it,
having a life, just the two of us and our dog, you know?
yeah,
So we're like, if it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. And so that was
yeah.
also, I think that took a lot of pressure off of us as well.
Which I think is honestly a good conversation to
Hmm.
have
Yeah.
before you do get pregnant. Is like, okay, if this doesn't work out as we hope,
Hmm.
what are each of our hopes and like
Exactly.
expectations?
And next
Like,
steps, if there are
yeah,
any. Yeah.
other options to pursue.
Hmm.
Because that too requires you to be on the same page. I mean,
That
some
really
people are
does.
very like, I want to adopt, and some people are like, I don't. And then there's
Hmm.
certain like, and then there's the
There's
financial
so many,
commitments that
yes.
come with all of those.
It's like financial and emotional and like all of those
Yeah.
things. And that was just not something we were willing to explore if
Yeah.
it didn't work out for us, like
Yeah.
naturally getting pregnant. So, and that was something that was like really a big deal. I feel like we discussed that first. Like that was like
Yeah.
the one thing, like we had to be on the same page there
Yeah.
for sure.
That was
So,
actually, we didn't talk a ton. I think just because it was like, we had premarital counseling, which I think we like talked a lot about, like just our different parenting styles and how we were raised and whatnot. And so it was kind of like we were aware of those dynamics that we were bringing
hmm.
in, but we didn't go into like how we think we would handle different parenting styles and boundaries and things like that ahead of time. We have since, but I will
That's
say the
good.
one, yeah, the one thing that we did was like talk about, okay, like if we can't get pregnant,
Hmm.
what do we want to do? And
Yeah.
how do we want to proceed?
Yeah. I think that's something it's huge. Like it's a really big, decision
Yeah.
as well. So it's like something like it can be very, it can be a tricky subject, I guess. I
Hmm.
just knew that I really wanted to get it out there that like,
Yeah.
this is what I think. And Gil thought exactly the same way.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, I don't think that's something that would be a good thing that you would have to convince someone of, like to like see your side or like do what you
Yeah.
would like. So yeah, thankfully we didn't have to deal with that. We both were on the
Yeah.
same page. But yeah, that was one that before we took any like steps forward, we're like, if
Yeah.
this,
Let's
if we
explore
can't get
that.
pregnant, what are we?
What are we going to do?
Yeah.
Are there any other questions or like topics or themes that you feel like people should discuss before getting pregnant like that?
Yeah, I also think that like things like genetic testing. I know that like
Yeah.
that's like can be a tricky one as well. If that's something you want to do or you don't want to do, I think you both need to be on the same page for
Yeah.
that one as well. That was just something that Gil and I both wanted to do before we tried to get pregnant,
Yeah.
just to, make sure that this is like still the
Yeah.
path we want to go for. So that's like one. And then I really just think parenting styles. Like Gil and I grew up with different parenting styles. So I
Yeah.
could see how that could maybe be tricky like going forward if like we hadn't talked about like ways to
Yeah.
discipline or like things like that. So I think that is something, especially if you grew up very differently and like the way that just how your parents were,
Yeah.
because I feel like there's a whole nature versus nurture. Like, are you gonna
Yeah.
want to do what your parents did exactly? Are you gonna want to pivot? Like, so I feel
Yeah.
like that's a big one too, because you don't want to have the kid and then like one parent does one thing. It's like the other
You
doesn't,
gotta be on the same
you have to be on the
page.
same page there, because
Yeah.
I feel like kids are like very smart sometimes. And I feel like they can totally
Oh, they
tell
totally can
like which parent they can like bully.
manipulate.
Yeah. So I
For
feel like you
sure.
need to be on the same page, like
Yeah.
at all
Yeah.
times.
No, I agree. And I think too, I mean, one thing that at least before the baby is born,
Hmm.
it would be family boundaries.
Yes,
Because
that's a big one.
it like the reality is that they are going to differ for
Yeah.
families.
Yeah.
And that can be kind of like emotional.
Hmm.
Like even the other day we were talking about like who visits the hospital and stuff, and like I mean physically Kyle's family is across the country. Like
Yeah.
they physically cannot come to the
Right. They can't just like
hospital.
drive down the road. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and like he kind of had that realization sink in, and
Yeah.
he was like, that's kind of sad. And so obviously that's not like a make or break thing for he and
Right.
I,
Yeah.
but like, I just think it's important to kind of think through like, what are those boundaries and have that conversation
Hmm.
well before the baby is born, if not before. And I think there's also too a lot of stuff that if you asked me before I got pregnant, I may not have any clue on.
Exactly. I feel like we did have that discussion, but I will say things have kind of changed a little bit, like
Yeah.
some of our ideas on it, because we also just like don't know. It's
Yeah.
like so much unknown, like you don't know how you're going to feel, you don't know what type of birth you're going to have, like
Yeah.
so I do think that like having that discussion, because I feel like the first initial discussion of boundaries is like
Prickly.
yeah, exactly.
It's not
So
fun.
it's not fun. So like once you've already had the initial one, then I feel like
Yeah.
it's so much easier to bring it up later if like, your
Yeah.
mind has changed over something.
Or you like realize something's less or
Yes,
more important. Because I do feel like
exactly.
being pregnant has kind of chilled me out, which I know isn't maybe
Same.
the norm, but I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, I feel like I've gotten like, okay, that's fine, whatever, like sure.
Yeah.
But like I
Then
was,
there's certain things where it's like, no, 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 like that
yeah,
stays.
that's staying the same. But yeah, I don't think anyone would like ever like been like, yeah, Marshall's chill. So but yeah, I remember having that discussion, and it was I actually remember we were driving home from somewhere, Charleston maybe, and I like pulled up on like Pinterest like topics you should discuss before
Yeah.
you get pregnant. So it was kind of nice because I was able to just read it. So it
Yeah.
wasn't
It
like
wasn't like you were coming up with
I'm like
these and it was like a
probing.
personal
Yeah,
thing. It
exactly. So like that
was like
was
the internet said these are
yeah, they're like
general
top
things.
10 questions. So it wasn't like I was just like being a bitch, you know?
Yeah.
So that's a
Yeah.
good way to do it if, you want to bring something up.
Yeah.
But
That is a good way to do
yeah,
it. So
Pinterest
go to
has you.
Pinterest. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But the boundaries one, that's always going to be, I think, tricky no
Yeah.
matter what. Just, because a lot of people, they feel like this loyalty to their family.
Hmm.
And then some people don't. Some people are like, I actually love my like in-laws like
In-laws.
way more than I like care
Yeah.
about my family, which, that's everyone has different dynamics. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think the one that's been the most unknown how I feel is like the initial visits.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, I don't know how I'm going to feel. Like, I don't know if I
Yeah.
want to see anybody, to be
I
totally
know.
honest. So,
And yeah, I'm with you on that of like, I have no idea what I want and like when I
none.
want people to come and like,
I know. And it's like, do I want you to come like and stay?
no.
No.
Nobody's allowed at our house from
No,
here.
like,
After the guests come this weekend, we're no longer accepting.
yeah, we're going to be taking our guest bed out and putting it
Are
in
you?
storage. Eventually, yeah, because that's where we're going to like put her crib eventually. But I'm
Okay.
like, how soon should we do that? But yeah, I like even people are like, well, some of my friends are like, you definitely want your mom in the delivery room. No, I don't.
I
I
talked to my mom about that
definitely
yesterday.
don't want that.
Yeah.
And no way. My mom was like, I love her so much, but she would just be so anxious the whole time. And I can't deal with that. Like,
I
I
literally had that
cannot
conversation
deal.
with my
Yeah.
mom yesterday. Because, like, all my aunts and uncles were telling me
Uh-huh.
their birth stories, and some of them were like, we had like everybody there. And it was like, oh my
Ugh.
God. I was
Couldn't
like, I
be
didn't
me.
even think about it.
No.
Like, I mean, I did in the sense that I was like, nobody will be there.
Right.
But then I was like, wait, is that like normal? And
I
so I was like,
know.
I asked my mom, I was like, who was your mom in the delivery room? And she was like, yeah, but she was like, Caitlin, I was like 20. Like, I was so young.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
and she was like, I don't expect to be there. And I was like, you can like come by earlier and like entertain me if you want. But like, while it's like happening, like, I don't think you should be there.
No, absolutely not. Like, no way. And my mom, I asked her the same thing. I was like, was your mom there? And she was like, no, she wasn't there, but she came like right after. And then my mom went and stayed with her parents.
Oh,
I
wow.
mean, like my granddad was like
Yeah.
traveling for work or whatever. So like he wasn't there, but she like stayed with my Nana when I was born. And I was like, where was dad? And she's like, yeah, like he just came by like every day, like after work and we had dinner. I was like, no. And so she like assumed that that's like what I was going to do. And I was
Oh,
like, but
really?
all my stuff, all of her, like all of the baby's stuff is at
At
our
our
house.
house.
And she just was like, I mean, like, you don't have to, but that's what I did. And then I was able to get sleep. Like, she was
Yeah.
like her mom, like, would, I guess, do the night feedings and stuff. I was like,
Oh,
but
wow.
have a husband. I don't know. The whole
But
thing
that's
was
like,
like,
again, the
that was,
unspoken, like,
yes.
that's why you have these conversations, I
Yeah.
guess, not even with your husband, but
No,
your
I
family
know.
members too, because otherwise people are just going to be like, yeah, obviously, Marshall, you're moving
And
in.
I was like, so I'm going to go 30 minutes away from my home. And I was like, this is so bizarre. I just like could not wrap my mind around it. And she's like, oh, that was so normal back then. Like, I feel like all my friends did that.
That's funny.
I think I mean, it was only like 3 days or something, or maybe 3 nights.
Yeah.
But I just am like, so what's Gil gonna do? I don't know. But yeah,
Yeah.
so thank God I talked to her about that because
Yeah.
I think at first it might have hurt her feelings a little bit that like
You weren't.
that I wasn't gonna do that because she just like assumed.
Assumed that it was like, this is what everyone does.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, like I want to
Really?
be in my house. Like I feel like once I
Yeah.
leave that hospital, like I want to go home to my
I want to
house
like
with
try
my
to like
things.
figure out
Yes.
a sense of normalcy.
Exactly. Like try, I know like you're not gonna have like a routine like
Yeah.
right off the bat, but like just try and like, learn your
Be
kid.
with my
Like
things. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Learn this new human.
Exactly. That just came out of me in the
Yeah, I
bleh.
know. I
Yeah,
know.
so
Crazy.
it's nuts. But yeah, so that was definitely talk to people in your life because they have
Yeah,
assumptions.
they definitely do.
Yeah.
So make sure you talk about it. All right. Well, our game today, we're going to do myth or must. And so I'll give you some statements and you
Hmm.
let me know if it's a myth of like, no, and or if it's like, yes, that's a total necessity.
Okay.
Okay. You should have your life completely figured out before you have kids.
I feel like that's a myth. Like you're never gonna have it completely figured out.
Yeah. No. You'll never sleep again.
That might be partly true.
I like read that one. was like, why does this feel so true right now?
I know. It's like, I know that they do
not.
eventually get on like their own little routines. I don't know when that's going to happen.
Yeah. Now that I'm reading these, I'm like, are any of these must?
Right. I guess we'll see.
Yeah. You'll just know when you're ready.
Yeah. True.
True.
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
that a must? Is that a must?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we've said, like, are you ever completely ready? But you
I
gotta
think you'll
pull the
know when
trigger.
you
Yeah,
are like ready enough.
exactly. To like actually move forward.
Yeah. You can't travel with a baby.
Okay, that's not true. I
Yeah.
mean, I think it depends on the type of baby you have, though. Like
Yeah.
for when
And if
you
you've
can
been a
travel.
traveler too.
Exactly. Like some people don't like to travel. So
Mhm.
it's like,
Don't
you
take
know,
that on.
yeah, why would you? If you've never liked to travel before, maybe traveling with your 6-month-old is not the game plan for you.
Not for you.
Not for you. And that's totally okay.
Yeah. So, but good things to talk about.
Yes. Talk about everything.
Yeah. Get you your Pinterest guide.
Yeah. Top 10 questions to ask your partner before you have a kid. I'm serious. I think that's like what it was.
I bet. I see it all the time on
I
like
do too,
Instagram
so I'm
and
just
TikTok,
like,
and it's like,
whatever.
I talked about this, and it's like, oh shit.
Like, this isn't talked about enough. I know.
Yeah.
I have so many things saved on Instagram. I've like never gone back.
Gone back. I know it's chaos in there.
I know.
Chaos. Well, that's a wrap.
Yes, it is.
Subscribe.
Rate,
Like.
review,
Yep.
message us. We like to talk to y'all.
And until next time.
Just listen to us, please.
Bye,
All right,
guys.
bye.